Hey y'all, back for another video. We're going to be playing Voda, a.k.a. Voice Adventure. I'm going to quickly search for my headset. Hold on a second.
Microphone on button.
I always forget where I set the dang thing. Could it be over here? Actually.
Microphone on button.
I wonder. I'm
Microphone
gonna go
on
search
button.
my house for it.
Heading not found.
Alright. I got my headset. We're going in here. Whoops. Hey.
Microphone on button.
I thought someone was in here. Alright. Ugh.
Microphone on button.
Hold on, guys, while I set this up. Alright, here we go. It's basically like an Alexa game.
Selected. Screen recording button. Brightness 60%. Adjustable. Act volume 100%. Voda. Episode 1. Falling into the dark. Start game button.
Alright, here we go.
Start game. Dimmed. In progress.
Greetings,
in progress.
adventurer.
Speech off.
You can control this game with your voice. You can give commands after the beep. If you need some assistance, say help. Let's...
Speech on. Low power mode button. Speech. Speech on. Continue button. Continue. Dimmed.
Greetings,
Game in. Speech off.
adventurer. You can control this game with your voice. You can give commands after the beep. If you need some assistance, say...
I'll just...
Speech. Watch Beyblade burst. Double. Screen recording in progress. Control center. Apple TV remote. Low power mode button. App switcher. Voda. Active. Voda.
Alright, so... Sorry guys, I'm just making sure of stuff.
Settings button. Info button. Episodes button. Continue button.
There's 3 episodes of this. The 2 are free. The first one is... the first one's free. The next 2, like, cost money, but it's like $3, I believe, for them. So, yeah.
Continue. Dimmed. Speech off.
Greetings, adventurer. You can control this game with your voice. You can give commands after the beep. If you need some assistance, say help. Let's start. Voice of the Ancients. Episode 1.
Whoa. This is cool music.
Our story begins in Algeria in the spring
That
of
was
1932,
cool
on the
music.
border of the Sahara and the Atlas Mountains. You are marching towards the distant cliffside with a small group of legionaries in the desert. The sun is burning your skin, but you already have time to get used to it because you're starting your 4th year in the Legion. You fled here from your previous life and left everything and everyone behind. By the time the sun goes down, you have reached the foot of the mountains. You set up tents and organize guard duty on the hillside. You're in the first group. The evening passes without any events. You're alone in the middle of nowhere. When your service is over, you fall asleep immediately in your tent. The sound of gunshots and shouting wakes you abruptly. Your team is under attack. You grab your weapon and go outside. You hear more shots from the middle of the camp. You can go in 2 directions. To the west, you could get closer to the fight under the cover of the tents. To the east, there is an outcrop of rocks around the camp. You might get a better vantage point of the fight from there. Choose to go to the west under the tents or sneak to the east behind the rocks.
West.
You run behind the tents in the direction of the sounds. You remain unnoticed, but suddenly, you trip on the rope of a tent and fall over. Fortunately, no one noticed you in the great upheaval. You land on soft sand. Nothing's broken, but you hit your left elbow hard. When you get up, you see you landed on a collapsible camp saw. Choose to take the saw or leave it here.
Take it.
You pick up the saw and put it in your coat. There is a larger empty area at the center of the camp. In the middle of it, the remains of the campfire glow. 3 of your teammates are lying dead next to the campfire. The first shots probably killed them. Another 2 guys from your team found shelter behind the trunks of some dried out date palm trees. The attackers are now shooting at you from a cliff near the camp. What will you do? Run to your companions or return to the cliffs and try to get behind the attackers?
Run to your companions.
You wait for a pause between the shots and rush toward your teammates. You're almost there when you hear another shot. The bullet hits your head dead center. You die immediately.
Dang.
Your adventure ends here.
Dang. This game's brutal. This game's brutal.
Let's try again. There is a larger empty area at the center of the camp. In the middle of it, the remains of the campfire go. 3 of your teammates are lying dead next to the campfire. The first shots probably killed them. Another 2 guys from your team found shelter behind the trunks of some dried out date palm trees. The attackers are now shooting at you from the cliff near the camp. What will you do? Run to your companions or return to the cliffs and try to get behind the attackers?
Return to the cliffs.
As you progress, you see the attackers shooting from the top of the protrusion. You climb up to the cliff. 5 raiders ambushed your team. 2 of them are lying dead on the ground. The others are looking away, not expecting an attack from your direction. Your position is not ideal. You could try to shoot them, but the odds are against you. Or you could order them to surrender, but you won't stand a chance if they decide to attack instead. Choose what you do. Do you call on the raiders to surrender or try to shoot them one after the other?
Surrender.
You command the attackers to raise their hands. They turn around and look down the barrel of your gun. At first, they don't know what to do, but in the end, none of them dare to risk being shot, and they all decide to surrender. You tie up the captives and collect the fallen.
Dang, that was
One
easy.
of your teammates, Adalbert Christopher, is missing. Chris usually keeps to himself so the others aren't concerned. You decide to search the area. Suddenly, you hear a loud moan from near the tents. You gasp as you find Christopher in a pool of blood. A bullet hit his stomach. As you turn around to get help, you hear him whispering under his breath.
The diary. My diary. Please.
As he breathes his last, his body turns over, and you see that he is holding a small leather-bound book close to his chest. You're unsure what to do, but your curiosity gets the better of you. As you take the book from his hand, a letter falls out. You can't help but glance at it. It reads,
My son, I finally found a trace. Gustav's notes point to a stronghold near a branch of the Niger River. I hope to investigate myself and find a trace of the temple, but I fear the society turned against me, so I'm sending you my diary. I'm sorry to place this terrible burden on you, but the society must never find the temple. Be careful. You know that the state of the world depends on it.
You feel the desperation of the writer in those words. You flip through the book, which is full of notes, scribbles, drawings, and the designs of a temple somewhere in Africa. Unfortunately, you can't find anything about the location of this temple. A dedicated chapter is about another structure that seems like a fortress. There is a map to the fortress in the diary. It is near the river Niger. This is probably what Christopher's father mentioned in the letter. You can't help but notice that the last pages are full of sketches of jewels, rubies, gems, and treasures, with the title, Beyond Good and Evil. Unlimited Power. You feel overwhelmed with all that's happened in just an hour. Deep in thought, you slip the diary into your pocket and return to your mates. It's morning by the time you bury the dead. Your team returns to the garrison with the prisoners.
Again, the music is really good. That music's
You are
really
utterly
fun.
exhausted. You unpack your gear and go to sleep. The following day, you wake up alone in the barrack. You are not on duty, but you must report the attack to your superiors in the officers' quarters. You're in the barracks of the garrison. The beds are lined up next to the walls. There is no one here. Everyone is up. A double door opens to the courtyard to the east. A locked iron door leads to the storage room on the north side. There are several commands you can take to look around in the fortress. You can go in different directions, talk to people, pick up and use objects. If you need assistance at any time, say help after the beep. Your first task is to go to the officers' quarters in the courtyard to the east. To do this, say, go to the east after the sound cue.
Go to east.
The courtyard is wide, surrounded by ground floor buildings. The morning sun is beating down with brutal force. There's no one outside. A little further away, a red-headed sergeant exercises with some unfortunate soldiers in detention. The fort is rather bleak. The yard is just an empty sandy spot with a well and a few sticks of palm trees. Walls surround the garrison, with a north-facing entrance gate. The most prominent building is the officers' quarters to the south. Next to the wall, to the west, are the barracks and the warehouse building where you came from. There is also the canteen to the east.
Canteen.
Entering the canteen feels like time has stopped. Sunlight barely creeps through the shut windows as a slow fan rumbles continuously. Even though it's early, some off-duty legionnaires are already drinking at a table. Behind the counter, the bartender is washing the glasses. To the west, you can return to the courtyard out the door.
West.
When you return to a previously explored place, I won't tell you the full description, just a short name and the possible ways from the room. If you want to know the details of the place, say look around after the beep. You're in the middle of the courtyard. The entrance gate is to the north. The officers' quarters are to the south. The barracks are to the west. You came from the canteen to the east.
North.
A gate closes the exit of the fort reinforced with iron bars. Next to the entrance is the sentry's post. You can see the warehouse key hanging there. The guard stands next to the booth. The exit of the fortress is to the north. To the south, you can go back to the courtyard.
North.
It would be best if you went to the officers' quarters first.
Office quarters.
You can only move to nearby locations from a place. To go to other locations, you should figure the way out yourself. From here you can go to the courtyard to the south.
South.
You're in the middle of the courtyard. You came from the gate to the north. The officers' quarters are to the south. The barracks are to the
South.
west. The canteen is to the east.
South. South.
You enter the officers' quarters. There is a reception desk in the middle of the room and offices behind it. The receptionist is Francois, a low-ranking drunkard. He always smells of alcohol, even while on duty. He calls when he notices you.
You're late. The commander and the general will see you now.
You enter the room behind Francois. The commander sits at his desk, dwarfed by the man behind him. His tall, dark figure is all you see, standing by the window, silhouetted by the blinding rays of the scorching sun. You can't make out his face, but you presume he's the general. You start to give your report, but the shadowy man cuts you off.
We know all about your adventure in the mountains, Private. But tell me, was Adalbert Christopher with you at the ambush?
You tell them that Christopher was among the casualties.
That's a tragedy, of course. My deepest condolences. Oh, by the way, did he leave any of his possessions with you?
You feel unease, and you can sense the eagerness in his voice. You carefully choose your words and tell him that the few possessions were already divided among the legionaries. A pocket knife, a small mirror, and a comb are the sort of things the general can compose by himself. You hear the disappointment in his voice.
That will be all,
So
Private.
the general's
Dismissed.
trying to get the treasure.
You leave the office and close the door behind
Okay.
you. Francois looks at you like he hit the jackpot.
You know, I heard the commander and the general debating for hours. I heard some things that might interest you. I'll tell you more if you bring me a bottle of whiskey.
Francois leaves it at that and gets back to his paperwork. You have a bad feeling about the whole
Bruh,
affair.
we have to
The
get him
general clearly
something.
knows about the diary, but your instinct tells you not to reveal it to anyone. What is going on exactly? You decide that Francois may be useful for once. It would help if you got him that bottle to loosen his tongue. To the north of the building is the door to the courtyard where you came in.
North.
You're in the middle of the courtyard. The entrance gate is to the north. You came out from the officers' quarters to the south. The barracks are to the west. The canteen is to the east.
Canteen.
You're in the canteen, in front of the counter. To the west, you can return to the courtyard out the door. You should talk with the bartender to get the whiskey for Francois. To do that, say, talk with the bartender.
Talk with the bartender.
You say hello to the bartender, who puts down the glass he's been cleaning and looks at you.
What do you want?
You could ask for a bottle of whiskey to take to Francois or a beer for yourself.
Whiskey.
Sorry, the whiskey ran out. There won't be supplies coming for weeks. But you can have this empty bottle.
The bartender is clearly just having fun, but the bottle could be handy. Something around here might pass for whiskey or at least look similar. You put the bottle to your backpack. You can check your inventory at any time. To do this, say, "What is in my backpack?" You're in the canteen, in front of the counter. To the west, you can return to the courtyard out the door.
West.
You're in the middle of the courtyard. The entrance gate is to the north. The officers' quarters are to the south. The barracks are to the west. You came from the canteen to the east.
Barracks.
You're in the canteen, in front of the counter. To the west, you can return to the
I
courtyard out the
said
door.
barracks. Barracks. Go back.
You're in the middle of the courtyard. The entrance gate is to the
Barracks.
north. The officers' quarters are to the south. The barracks are to the west. You came from the canteen to the east.
West.
You're in the
west,
barracks.
west. Thank you.
A double door opens to the courtyard to the east, where you came from. A locked iron door leads to the storage room on the north side.
North.
The door blocks your way.
North.
The door blocks your way.
My backpack.
There are a saw, a diary and a whiskey bottle in your backpack.
Look around.
You're in the barracks of the garrison. The beds are lined up next to the walls. There is no one here. Everyone is up. A double door opens to the courtyard to the east, where you came from. A locked iron door leads to the storage room on the north side.
Search the ground.
You don't find anything useful.
East.
You're in the middle of the courtyard. The entrance gate is to the north. The officers' quarters are to the south. You came from the barracks to the west. The canteen is to the east.
Exit.
Sorry, but I don't understand.
The gate.
You are at the gate of the garrison. The warehouse key hangs on the side of the guardhouse. The guard stands next to the booth. The exit of the fortress is to the north. To the south, you can go back to the courtyard.
North.
Stop. What do you want here at the gate?
The guard demands an answer. What will you do? Try to trick the guard away from his post, ask him to let you out, or leave him?
Ask him to let me out.
Without a written order, no one is going anywhere.
The guard grips the bayonet threateningly. What will you do? Try to cheat the guard away from his post, or go back the way you came?
Cheat the guard.
You tell him you heard the prisoners talk about another attack on the fort. The guard initially doubts you, but his nerves get the better of him. He goes out the gate and begins to scan the horizon. You are at the gate of the garrison. The warehouse key hangs on the side of the guardhouse. The guard stands outside the gate and watches over the horizon. The exit of the fortress is to the north. To the south, you can go back to the courtyard.
Grab key.
You take the key while the guard is looking in the other direction.
North.
Although the guard is standing outside the gate, you cannot sneak out behind him.
South.
You're in the middle of the courtyard. You came from the gate to the north. The officers' quarters are to the south. The barracks are to the west. The canteen is to the east.
West.
You're in the barracks. A double door opens to the courtyard to the east, where you came from. A locked iron door leads to the storage room on the north side.
North.
The door blocks your way.
Use key.
You remove the padlock with the key and unlock the storage room's door. The key is stuck in the lock. You cannot take it out.
Open door.
The storage room's door is already open.
North.
The storage room is smaller than the dormitory. There are shelves and shelves of long-keeping food or various tools and spare clothes. Next to the shelves, you notice an open barrel full of gas oil. To the south is the barracks from which you came. There are no other exits from this room.
Look around.
The storage room is smaller than the dormitory. There are shelves and shelves of long-keeping food or various tools and spare clothes. Next to the shelves, you notice an open barrel full of gas oil. To the south is the barracks from which you came. There are no other exits from this room.
Fill bottle with gas oil.
You fill the bottle from the gasoline barrel. Then, roll the cap very firmly and clean the outside thoroughly. If Francois doesn't open it, you might deceive him.
Search.
You don't find anything what you need at the moment, so you better leave everything here.
South.
You're in the barracks. A double door opens to the courtyard to the east.
Well, we got
An opened iron door leads to the storage room on the north side, from where you came out.
Close the door.
You're not closing the door for now. No one is around here anyway.
Go east. Courtyard.
Sorry, but I don't understand.
East.
You're in the middle of the courtyard.
Thank you.
The entrance gate is to the north. The officers' quarters are to the south. You came from the barracks to the west. The canteen is to the east.
West.
You're in the barracks.
Whoops.
A double door opens to the courtyard to the east, where you came from.
East.
An opened iron door leads to the storage room on the north side.
East.
You're in the middle of the courtyard. The entrance gate is to the north. The officers' quarters are to the south.
South.
You came from the
South,
barracks to the
south,
west.
south,
The canteen
south.
is
All
to
right.
the east.
It's south. South.
You are at the front desk of the headquarters building. Francois is watching you. To the north of the building is the door to the courtyard where you came in.
Give Francois the bottle.
You hand over the bottle to Francois, who grabs it with eager anticipation. For a moment, he considers opening it then and there, but after glancing at the commander's office, he decides against it and hides the bottle under the table.
Yes, we're...
All right, I'm a man of my word. I'll tell you what I heard. The general arrived early in the morning. I have never seen him before, might I add. He was furious about the ambush and the losses we suffered. He was particularly concerned with poor Christopher. He asked for any possessions he left behind. I suppose he wants to take them to his family personally. Touching, really. Sorry, I got sidetracked. The bit you'll be interested in is that neither of them wants to take responsibility for the affair, so they'll probably blame the most senior officer. Oh, I'm sorry. That's you, isn't it? Hee hee.
The smug smile on Francois'
That's not
face
fair.
makes you want to smack him upside the head, but the fake whiskey will be punishment enough. You take a deep breath and try to collect your thoughts. The general wants you court-martialed, so your best bet is to disappear. The Legion doesn't treat deserters kindly, but you're doomed either way. You don't want to spend the next few years in a penalty camp. You'd rather escape and follow the traces of the temple. You quickly return to the warehouse and stack up on essential rations. You won't get far on foot, so you try to steal a car as soon as night falls. You check each one in a row until you finally find one unlocked. You're surprised to see that it's the general's car. Maybe this is poetic justice, you think to yourself and get in.
Ooh, escaping. Ooh, we successfully did it. We're gonna get out of here. Oh, we got
You
out
have to
there.
drive about 2,000 kilometers to reach the supposed location of the fortress described in the diary. You only have a few hours at best before you're discovered. It may help a little that they can't expect you to flee to the Sahara.
Again, this music is like good. Really good music.
Dawn arrives by the time you reach the oasis next to Adra, a small-sized garrison.
Okay, I think. Hold on.
Thankfully, you know that they don't have radio contact.
I think this is where we'll stop. Hope you guys enjoyed. I will leave the link to this game. It is called Voice Adventure, but to fuse the names in a good way, to make it shorter, they named it Voda. I'll leave it in the description. Hope y'all enjoyed this video. I sure did. This was a pretty good story game. See you all later. Bye.
Speech on. Selected. Screen recording. Button.